Welcome to LIFM, guys, and today we're going to be going over the guild champions, aka the new commander candidates from Dragon's Maze, and I'm here with PTP.
Hi guys, we're going to start with Emera Tendaris. She's a legendary creature, elf shaman, and she prevents all combat damage that will be dealt to creature tokens you control. My initial opinion is a little bit underwhelming. I think the mana cost is a little bit too high. I understand she's a 5/7 body and she's not a mythic, but I just kind of feel like her abilities limited just to combat, and I can see her being played in EDH, but I don't see her being ran too prevalent as a commander.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about her too. I mean, she would fit into a Trostani deck, but I don't see her ever actually replacing someone like Trostani. I understand that Trostani is the guild leader. He's a mythic card while she is just a guild champion and she's just a rare, but I just feel like she's missing another ability, a Shroud or a Hexproof, something like that. Because most board wipes in EDH are not going to be doing damage. They're just going to be destroying all creatures or exiling all creatures anyways, and you're not going to really get anything out of her most likely.
Exactly.
Right? At least with Trostani, maybe you gain some life or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. She might find a home in a deck somewhere. If you guys have an opinion on her, feel free to put them in the comments, but as far as for me and PTP, we kind of feel that this one's a little bit underwhelming. We're going to move on to the next one.
The next creature is Xavier, Rapidos Blood Witch. Once again, legendary, human cleric. She has First Strike, Haste, and Unleash, a 3/3, and she also makes all your creatures with 1/1 counters on them have haste as well. I think this is a really good card. What people are underestimating is it's actually a 4/4 because it's almost always going to be unleashed. I think it's a good fit because this Rapidos is really missing strong commanders. I think while this card's not overwhelming, it is a candidate to be a commander in some Rapidos decks.
Yeah, and someone like her, I think she's going to actually see a lot more play in 1v1 EDH as well. She's pretty strong, and it's a very real possibility of having her out.
What do you think of her? What do you think of her in standard?
She might see some play in standard in the red-black zombie decks, builds like that. She could definitely see some play in those. In EDH, I think she can come out turn 2 for sure, and First Strike is actually, I'd say, pretty relevant. She's definitely what Rapidos needs, a very, very competent rushdown commander. Obviously, she's not on the level of Olivia or anything like that, but I think she's pretty solid. Definitely better than the Selesnya.
Exactly. Give some alternative options if you want to play the same colors.
Exactly.
Next up, we have Levena of the 10th. Human Soldier, legendary again. Pro-red. Whenever Levena of the 10th enters the battlefield, detain each non-land permanent your opponents control with converted mana cost 4 or less. Has a 4/4 body. I'm liking this card. I'm just worried in EDH, outside of 1v1, how much for that casting cost permanents are you going to face? I would like it a little bit more if it was 5. I'm really, the 4 kind of scares me. I haven't seen it in play, but right now just looking the 4 scares me a little.
The way I see it is that they costed it at 5 blue, white, and 3 colors for a 4/4. So if it was going to detain permanents that cost more than 4, it would probably cost maybe 7 mana. The other thing that I think is this card is just going to come in and lock down every single mana rock your opponents have.
Definitely.
Like 100% every single mana rock is going to be locked down. So I think that's going to be the big thing. And also, costing 5, she's going to come down and probably lock down some early game creatures. I think this one's actually pretty decent. I know what you're saying about the 4 or less, but if you play it right, if you play the deck right, it could be pretty useful, and you could set your opponents back a turn, maybe more, depending on what they have out. So I think this one's pretty decent.
Next up is Melek Izik Paragon. He's a weird wizard, and when you play him, you play with the top card of your library revealed. Now, you may also cast the top card of your library with the instant or sorcery card, and whenever you cast an instant or sorcery card from your top of your library, or from your library, sorry, you may copy it and choose new targets. Now, this is my favorite of the new ones. It's a very interesting choice. I think he can be wild and get out of control, but I think the fact that it contains it just to copying from the top of your library, stops him from being broken. What do you think?
I think this guy is a potential problem in the making. Wizards was very careful in making him cost 6 for a 2/4 body to kind of restrict how out of hand he can get very quickly. But I think that ability is really strong. Definitely. It's a pseudo future sight. I mean, it's not as strong as future sight in the sense that you can't play all the spells.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, when you do find an instant or sorcery that you can play, you get to copy it for free.
Which is fantastic.
Which is really, and in Izzet colors, it's going to be some, it's going to be some stuff that you don't want your opponent copying.
Yeah.
Basically. So I like this guy. It'll take some creativity to play the deck properly, but I think this guy is definitely going to see some play. And I actually like this card a lot too.
I definitely like this one. Next card. We have Miracle Vosk, Mind Drinker. Here's our legendary vampire. He's a 2/4 flyer, and he's the Miller. Whenever Miracle Vosk, Mind Drinker deals combat damage to a player, that player reveals cards from the top of his library until he or she reveals 4 land cards. Then puts those cards into his graveyard. I don't know how much more I have to say. This is just a very strong milling card. If he deals damage, he's going to hit a big portion of your deck.
Yes, a lot of the time. The thing with this guy is, I think he's going to see a lot of play. First of all, he's going to see play in his own deck. I think people are going to be building this deck.
Yeah.
And guys, feel free to comment on what you think about this guy. Second of all, you're going to see him in the Mimeoplasm.
Definitely.
For sure.
I'm putting him in my Mimeoplasm.
There you go. And third, you're going to see him in Lazov.
Definitely. Why not?
Yeah, this guy is just going to get a little bit out of control. You're going to see him a lot. If you play online, you're probably going to see him a lot. And in EDH groups, any deck that runs any kind of mill is probably going to run this card. I think this card is really, really good. And at black, blue, 3 colorless for a 2/4 flyer, they put the mana cost pretty decent, I'd say. They made him a 2/4, so he's not OP'd, but the ability is just
very affordable in my opinion.
It's very affordable, and in those colors, you're probably going to be able to land a 2/4 flyer and keep him on the field through control.
Yeah.
This guy, I think, is one of the strongest ones out of these guild champions,
definitely.
And I think he's going to be seeing some play. I personally might put him in my SIG deck, but I don't really know if I want to go in that direction.
People are going to be unhappy to see him on the board.
Yeah, he's a strong card. You're going to get some hate for playing him for sure.
Next up is Roerick Far the Unbound. He's an org warrior, legendary creature, once again, vigilance, reach, and Roerick Far the Unbound, whenever he attacks each turn if able. Whenever a player casts a non-creature spell, Roerick Far deals 6 damage to that player. And he has a 6/6 body. I like this guy. If you can set up some creatures, you can deal a lot of damage with his ability. Vigilance and reach is strong.
Yes.
And I think he's appropriately casting cost.
Yeah, I think this was the first of the guild champions that they revealed. Yeah. And this guy at red, green, 4 colors for a 6/6. This guy is he should be a beast. This guy is just a monster. Vigilance is amazing on a 6/6 creature that has to attack each turn if able. Reach is one of the only things that green and red is missing most of the times. So he can block flyers, and he has vigilance, so he's going to always be able to block flyers. And every single spell that gets rid of him, that player is going to take 6 damage for casting it. So even to get rid of him, you're going to take 6 damage. If you get rid of him in combat, good on you, but that's a 6/6 body. So I think this guy is just really good, and he's going to end up doing a lot of damage. I definitely think he's going to see play as a commander. He might see play in my Rada deck if I could find space for him. I think this guy is just a really solid card. He could probably even go in your Riku deck if he wanted to.
Oh, I definitely think so.
Yeah. I think this guy is really solid, and just the flavor on this guy is just everything just fits. The art, everything just fits this card perfectly. I think he's one of the more fun ones, definitely.
And fair.
Yeah, he's a pretty fair card, and a pretty fun card at that too. I'm looking forward to seeing this one play.
Next up is Teja, Blade of the Legion. Now this is the card I found most interesting, because Teja is a human soldier, and he's indestructible, which is always fantastic. Things that can't die, can't be killed are good. And Teja has the battalion ability, which means that whenever he attacks along with 2 other creatures, he gets +5/+5 until end of turn. This guy seems to be the perfect fit for the red-white token archetype that they seem to be kind of trying to push the last couple blocks. Sets. Something I was really interested in building. He seems like the perfect commander for that deck. So I'm interested in testing him out and see how he works as my commander. I think his ability is strong. You have him attacking as a 7/7 indestructible, can wreak havoc on the board. So what do you think?
Yeah, for me, this guy, there's not a lot of indestructible creatures that cost less than 5, basically.
That's true.
So this guy is really solid. In one-on-one play, I know for a fact this guy's going to be coming out 2nd to 3rd turn consistently online. And another thing is that anyone that's running a Aurelia deck, you can probably swap out this guy for Aurelia, play this guy. When Aurelia comes out, and you attack with both battalion triggers, he gets +5/+5, you get another attack phase. He's going to get +5/+5 again. So I think this guy is going to be a serious problem. The fact that he's indestructible means to get rid of him, people are going to have to exile him or somehow force you to sack him. But with the fact that he has battalion means you're going to be running a deck with a lot of creatures or a lot of things that generate
probably creature tokens. Sacking is not going to.
So sacking is not going to be the best way to get rid of him.
Most likely.
So they're going to have to try to exile him or a -1/-1 counter or something like that. So I think this guy is pretty fair and a solid card for mana.
And he fits a needed role.
Yes, there is definitely cards missing from Boros and stuff as far as commanders go.
Definitely.
So I like this card.
Next up is Teja, Envoy of the Ghost. Now our human advisor from Horse. We're back with the advisors. Vigilance and pro creatures. And whenever a creature deals combat damage to you, destroy that creature. Put a 1/1 and put a 1/1 white-black spirit creature token flying onto the battlefield. And all this on a 4/4 body. 7 is the mana cost, which is a bit steep, but it has to be for this kind of ability.
It really has to be up there for this. Even at 6, it would be a big difference. It'd be maybe a little bit too strong, I think.
Pro creatures really makes this.
Yeah, the thing is that pro creatures basically says unblockable.
Basically.
So she has vigilance and a 4/4 body, and she's unblockable. And then she's on defense with pro creatures.
With the vigilance, exactly.
And then her second ability is Dread,
yep,
which everyone knows is 6 for a 6/6 that with fear, that when a creature does damage to you, you destroy it. Except she does that, but she also says, have a token too.
Exactly.
Right? You destroy their creature and you have a 1/1, not just a 1/1 token, but a 1/1 flying token. And I think Orzhov is one of the guild colors that's missing a lot of commanders, a lot of legendary creatures. So this is a very welcome addition for Orzhov.
Yeah, it's going in my Orzhov deck.
Why not?
Why not?
Yeah. I mean, like PTP said, 7 is slightly high, but in an Orzhov deck, you're probably going to be playing the control role anyways, and you're going to play this at the appropriate time. You're going to control when you put it out there. So I think she's actually pretty good. She's a solid card.
And that brings us to Verol's the Scar Stripe, sorry. And he's a troll warrior. Each creature in your graveyard has scavenge. Scavenge cost is equal to the mana cost. Sacrifice another creature to regenerate Verol's the Scar Stripe. He's a 2/2 body for 3. 1 black, 1 green. And I think he's a niche commander, but in the right deck, I think he could be strong. Given everything in your graveyard, scavenge opens up a lot of possibilities for those decks that weren't there. Gives them access to a lot of creatures that they couldn't normally run. So
Yeah.
I like it. Time will tell how strong the deck is, but I mean, I like anything that opens up creativity. I think this is one of those cards.
Yeah, this is one of those cards where you're really going to have to try to build around him. And personally, I don't think it's a card that I'm going to be running. If he had something like Hexproof, I would. But then I fear that he might be a little bit too strong if he has Hexproof and the ability to grow with Scavenge. But I don't think I'll personally be running this guy, but I can definitely see him having some impact.
Well, for me, like I said, it would definitely take some testing, but I'm thinking even in a deck like Mimeoplasm, you do want creatures in the graveyard, but sometimes certain things wouldn't be bad to cast again. So he might have a role. You'd have to test it in a deck like that, or but more likely you'd have to probably build around him.
Yeah, and the thing is with the Scavenge, you're exiling the creatures from your graveyards to make something else bigger, which means those creatures are gone, right? But I mean, it's an aggressive commander. It comes out very early in the game, and definitely with something like Gerard's Orders or something like that, buried alive, you can get the creatures in your graveyard that you want in there to exile to make him bigger. And this is a guy that I can definitely see killing with commander damage. But like I said, probably not my type of card, but I can definitely see him getting some playtime. Some creative people doing something with him.
Definitely.
Let us know what you think about this guy in the comments.
And next up is Moral of the Hall Clade. The human merfolk, and her ability is one green and one blue, and tap him to put a counter of sorry guys, to put for each counter on target artifact, creature, or land, put another of those counters on that permanent. So that's only one permanent, and it's not on planeswalkers, and it comes on a 1/4 body. So what do you think? To me, it seems like it's useful in a niche deck again, but only one counter per turn could be a little bit slow.
Yeah, I think they were very careful with this one. I mean, it's 3 mana for a 1/4. And the ability only costs 2 to activate. They were very careful not to make this basically proliferate.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Especially on a card that costs 3 and only costs 2 to tap. I do think the fact that it only does it for one thing each time is definitely kind of slow for me.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'd want her as my commander, maybe as a backup card in a deck that used a lot of counters and stuff. And she can put counters on planeswalkers.
Yeah.
I think she's okay. I think she's definitely going to see some play, but for me personally, I don't know.
Yeah, my problem is this card is all the proliferate cards make this card seem underwhelming.
Yeah, there's a lot of cards that make this seem underwhelming. I mean, obviously, the good thing about her is that she's in Simic, which means you have Seedborn Muse. And the Liege, the Simic Liege, that untaps all your green creatures on everyone's upkeep. Yeah. So with cards like that, you can definitely have some shenanigans with her to get a lot more activations out of her. But it just seems a little bit slow to me. I'm sure she's going to see play. I don't know if it's going to be in, what's his name, Kraj or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know what deck she's going to see play in. But I think she might see more play as a support card than an actual commander. If I'm wrong, let me know. And that wraps up the new guild champion. So let us know what you think in the comments. And thanks for watching as usual.
All right. Have a good day.